This is Tracing Route 66. If you take a trip northeast of Tulsa on the Mother Road, you'll eventually run into the J.M. Davis Arms and Historical Museum, situated between two different stretches of Route 66.
In Claremore, we still have 2 miles of the original Route 66 running through Claremore, and the street is called J.M. Davis Boulevard, and that sits just to the west of the museum. However, just to the east of the museum is the current Route 66, and that was built in 1956. So you can't get any more Route 66 than here at the J.M. Davis Arms and Historical Museum.
Wayne McCombs is the executive director. He told us the museum is home to more than 12,000 firearms and thousands of other artifacts, many of which belong to J.M. Davis.
J.M. Davis was from Arkansas, and in about 1915 he was on his way to Tulsa to get in on the oil and gas business.
McCombs told us the story of Davis, which went from aspirations of oil to running a hotel.
He got off the train here in Claremore, and across the street was this hotel that was for sale. And he did have a background in hotel management, he and his wife did. So he purchased the Mason Hotel and stayed here. And then when a competition was coming in, it was the best hotel between Tulsa and Kansas City. 3 stories, 125 rooms, a large hotel. And then in 1929, he got word that a new hotel was coming to town, the Will Rogers Hotel, and so he knew there was some competition. So he expanded to show his collection of guns in the hotel. He also added private bathrooms to each hotel room. His fame began to grow at that time because the hotel was across the street from the passenger train station. Route 66 ran right past the door, and the city bus station was also there. So people would come to the hotel for many, many reasons, and it was a very popular eating establishment here in Claremore, and so his fame grew.
Over the years, Davis amassed a huge collection of guns. He eventually decided that collection was something he wanted to share.
In 1967, Mr. Davis had no children. He and his wife had no children, and so he began to look on how he could keep this collection in Claremore as a tourist attraction and to share his collection with the world. So he made a deal with, at that time, Governor Henry Bellman. They passed a bill creating the J.M. Davis Commission, which formed this building to house the collection in 1969. So Mr. Davis's collection made the 2-block trek from the hotel to this building in 1969, and we've been here now for over 50 years.
The collection includes many items that were displayed at his hotel.
There were animal horns over every door, guest room in the hotel. You'd go in and there'd be large animal horns, longhorns over your door in your guest room. Lots of other things. He had a lot of paintings. He had a lot of figurines, artworks. We have some old radios from the 1930s when he put radios in all the rooms. We have a collection of historical musical instruments Mr. Davis put in his ballrooms.
McCombs took us on a tour of the museum, showing us some of the more rare items on display.
Pretty Boy Floyd, of course, was from this area, and he was the last of the big-time gangsters to get caught. And the reason was because he helped other people. When he would rob and have some money, he would give it to the farmers, or he would give it to somebody in need, and they would hide him out. Henry Starr, this guy was unusual. It depended on what was going on at the time, whether he was an outlaw or whether he was a sheriff's deputy. If things were going great, he was a sheriff's deputy. If he needed some money, he'd turn over and become an outlaw again. And this is the very oldest gun in the collection. It's from approximately 1350. It's called a Chinese hand cannon. How it operated, they would take shrapnel, didn't have bullets or ammunition as we know them today. It would be gravel, bits of glass, nails, things like that they would put in the front of the barrel. Then in the back, they would put gunpowder and put a cork in it. And then here you can see the circle, the hole here. They would put a wire wick in there and light it, and then it would come down, cause the explosion, and then it would push the shrapnel out the front.
With the museum and attraction on Route 66, I asked McCombs what it is that makes the Mother Road so special.
I think it's nostalgia. I think it's back to what we think were a simpler time, more fun in your life. You know, going to the drive-through, going to having a malt, getting a hamburger, cruising, things like this. Not a care in the world, just enjoying the things that are along this highway in America. There's a lot of crazy things along through America to stop and see. And here in Claremore and Rogers County, we have a lot. Of course, the blue whale, at Tulsa, all the way up to the world's largest totem pole just north of this building, this museum, the Will Rogers Memorial. So there's a lot of things to a throwback to simpler times, more fun times in your life to experience.